Well, today marks exactly 63 years since the late Pan Africanist Congress leader Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe led a peaceful anti-pass law march in Sharpeville. 69 peaceful marchers were killed by the apartheid police on that day. Human Rights Day in South Africa is held on this day to honor those who lost their lives on this day, as well as others who have perished fighting for freedom. But over the years, the PAC has complained that the day should be renamed Sharpeville Massacre Day. PAC leader Mr. Mzwanele Nyhontso joins us now to reflect on this. And Mr. Nyhontso, thank you so much for your time, and good morning to you. Happy Human Rights Day to you. And again, back to that point around it still not being named Sharpeville Massacre Day. Why do you think that is so? Because that has been your plea. Why do you think it hasn't been renamed to reflect the day back in 1960?
Morning to you and morning to your viewers, and happy Sharpeville Day. It's about history. It's about distortion that this government has been doing, not only in Sharpeville but in all historic events that has a PAC legacy. Now the event or the day was organized, orchestrated, and led by PAC Sobukwe, Philip Hosana, Makwetu, and others throughout the country. But the government, the so-called democratic government, decided to change it to Human Rights Day without even consulting the PAC or the PAC leadership at the time in 1995 when they changed the day. And we feel it is also a distortion of history, because in some quarters, more especially in the media, I listened to another TV station this morning. They were saying ordinary South Africans decided to march against pass laws. And there's nothing mentioning of PAC, of Sobukwe, and of the right history of what happened on that day. Now that's the reason why we want it to be called Sharpeville Day, Langa Day, Sharpeville Massacre, Langa Massacre in Cape. So that kids do not get wrong history, because now they're distorting the right history of our country.
Let's talk about the significance of the day. And you make a good point that children should not be, prohibited from knowing the truth about the day. The truth needs to come as bluntly as it is without being diluted. What is the significance of this day? Should there be, a 15-year-old, an 18-year-old, a child who's watching this conversation? What would you like them to know about today?
They must know that this day is so significant. In fact, this is the day that changed everything in this country politically. This is the day when everybody in this country realized that there was a need for a revolution to fight for what rightfully belonged to us, the land. This is the day when even the international community recognized that apartheid was a crime against humanity. This is the day that led to what today others are enjoying it, call it freedom, though this freedom is enjoyed by the few. Though this day led to this freedom we have in this country, it is unfortunate that those who are in power are corrupt. You can look at the load shedding, corruption in this country, unemployment, and everything. But every political event in this country can be traced back to this day in 1960.
Mr. Nyhontso, when you look back at, history book and research, you read about the events of the day, those tragic events of, not only the 69 innocent people that were killed, but those who were injured, those who were shot at, those who were ridiculed by the then apartheid police while, lying on the ground, shot from the back. And one wonders, has there been recourse? Have there been some sort of, repatriation in terms of going back to those families, making sure that they are well taken care of, making sure that their voices are heard? What do you know about those families directly impacted by this day?
We've been calling for reparations. We've been meeting families. Government has been going to Sharpeville. They've been going to Langa. They've been making all sorts of empty promises, but I can assure you nothing came through. Even this morning, as immediately after this interview, I'll be joining the families in the cemetery. We'll be having a prayer here in Sharpeville. So we interact with these families. We know them, and the government has been making all sorts of empty promises. There's really nothing. It's painful. You're right. In fact, it was not only the 69. So many people were injured, and most of them were shot from the back, and their families still survive. But there's nothing. They live like paupers. They die like paupers. They live in squalor. They don't have anything to do. There's nothing that shows that these ones, they've got martyrs in their own families. There's really nothing. But the government keeps on telling them that things will be better, and that's not true.
We do expect President Cyril Ramaphosa to give a keynote address today. I mean, this is almost like a national annual tradition by, a sitting president to give a keynote address on a day such as, today. What is your expectation, if any, from President Cyril Ramaphosa, and what is your appeal as he's expected to take the podium today?
No, I don't have any expectation from him. Those ones ran away from Sharpeville a long time ago. They ran away because we said we don't have a problem with government coming in and work with families and the PAC on the Sharpeville Day. But the problem they were doing, they were using this day to distort the history, isolate PAC, undermine PAC, undermine families. And when we complained, they decided to run away. I'm told today they are going to be in DR in Northern Cape. That means there is nothing related or connected to the families. I really expect nothing from them. We appeal to them. We've been appealing to them that every time when 21st comes, the Department of Arts and Culture, or at least the government, must come and contribute in preparations. I can assure you we're doing all these preparations on our own. There's nothing they are doing. So I really expect nothing from them, and I only expect South Africans to vote them out next year.
And I suppose the onus is also on South Africans, Mr. Nyhontso, in terms of keeping today alive. There were those who perhaps witnessed, what happened back in 1960 today. Some directly, affected today, some raising children. What is your appeal to South Africans in keeping this day significant, keeping this day alive, but also speaking truth to power in terms of what this day is about and how it should be commemorated?
South Africans must know that those who organized this day are still alive. They should know that some of those who survived this day are still alive. They must know that they must understand and write history of the country. And they must know that the fate of this country is in their hands. In fact, they have seen Sharpeville, June 16, Bethel trialists, and so everywhere. They know where there's a PAC trace, the government makes sure that history is distorted. And they prefer not to help the families because it would, as if it would take the name of the PAC. And it's very painful. But we understand that as much as we are not in the government, but we are doing everything we could to commemorate this day, to talk about it, to make sure that around Sharpeville, around Langa, at some point we're even visiting schools and educate them about what happened. We would get old PAC veterans, those who were participating on the day, would take them to schools. They share to the students of what happened on the day, and we are hopeful that as the time goes on, everybody will understand the significance of this day, and the fate is in the hands of the South Africans.
And before I let you go, not forgetting the legacy of the late Robert Sobukwe. How should his legacy continue to be respected and commemorated, do you think?
The defier of the undefiable, Robert Sobukwe, the man himself. We are always holding memorial lectures, rallies, speeches. We always talk about him because we want to preserve his legacy. And we are happy that everybody is starting to recognize Sobukwe. We understand that very soon the town of Graaff-Reinet is going to be called Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe Town. We are making the calls to preserve this giant of our struggle, the leader of the Ship of Freedom, the PAC, that the University of Fort Hare be named as Robert Mangaliso University. We are making the calls that Kimberley people must never forget Sobukwe. He was part of them. So we are making all these things, and as the time goes on, people understand Sobukwe and all the means that the government tried to do to erase his history have failed so far. People will never forget Sobukwe.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to us. Mr. Mzwanele Nyhontso, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us right here on the South African Morning.